Hello,
Hey,
hello, hello.
hello,
First
hello.
off, slight apologies that we are delayed.
Wonder whose fault that is
Should
again.
come as no surprise anymore. But then again, we do
I
have a newborn on our hands,
yeah,
so
thank you. I
let's
I can
normalize
still
it.
play. I can still play that card for a little while, right?
Exactly. You can
Yeah.
still
Um,
play that
Trips
card.
to the pediatrician, and it's like we said that it's hard to make plans when things pop up. But we're
Plans
here.
are just aspirations at this point, is what I told
It,
Jason.
it's
So
and it's so true. Like I aspire to many things during the day, and how many of those things actually happen are very few, but we get through. We're still here, we're surviving, and
we still
making
turn
it
up.
through.
You know,
We gotta
whatever it is, we'll still turn up
gotta try.
in some way, shape, or form. But thank you all for joining us on 20 Minutes Eventprofs Weekly Live, the show that me and Jason do. And we have been doing now for a little over a year. We started by going
Mm,
live on LinkedIn, and now we
mhm.
stream to YouTube, and depending on whose account it's streaming from. So today we are live streaming to LinkedIn, to my page, as well as to Hot Hospitality Exchange's YouTube channel.
Great.
And of course, it'll also be shared on Acomo's YouTube channel after. Now, today we're discussing about, have event industry trade shows evolved? I
Hmm.
think it's a very valid question. I
It
think
is a question.
that we've returned
Yeah.
to a certain degree, we've returned to in-person events and meeting each other again and connecting with suppliers again and attending meeting forums and shows. And we've had, I want to say, two really big shows that have already taken place, one of which was IMEX Vegas, Mahusive,
Hmm.
uh, took place, I want to say, last week, was it?
Time for me is
I think it was last
it's
week or the
fluid.
week before. It took place in the last 2 weeks. Let's just say
Recently.
that. Yeah, recently. This month. It took place this month.
Hmm.
And as well as Event Tech Live, which
Yep.
took place in London also this month earlier. And both were very different trade shows, I want to say. Um, and I almost feel like one was way more hybrid than the other. And that's an interesting discussion too. So yeah, I guess the big question is: have these trade shows evolved? Now, if you are watching this live, whether you're watching it right now as we're streaming or you are watching the replay, we would love to hear from you. Just because maybe some of you have attended any of these trade shows, like Event Tech. The Event Tech show, or you've
Yep.
attended IMEX Vegas, we would love to hear your experience of what it was like.
Hmm.
Did anything change?
Yep.
Has it evolved?
Yep.
Or Jason has a great way of describing this. Go, Jason.
So
Uh,
yeah, we were talking about this, right? The kind of our 2-year anniversary. We met at IBTM in 2019,
that's right.
and we're kind of starting to talk about plans for IBTM next week. And we started
Mhm.
thinking, by the way, I wonder how things are going to be different. And I was thinking, let's say that you like so close your eyes for a second, and let's imagine that you fell asleep in 2019, right?
Yep.
And you slept for essentially 2 years, and you woke up today, right? In
Yes.
2021, and you went to a trade show. So, would that experience at the new trade show, would there be anything different? Would you notice anything different from when you fell asleep in 2019 to when you woke up in 2021? And I think this is the question that we should be asking, because there's so much conversation going on. There's so many people kind of beating the drum for evolution, and things are changing. Things will never be the same. But is that actually happening once we step into the conference center or into the ballroom? Is there really any difference? Because I think the main thing that people are going to notice are just going to be kind of superficial,
Yeah.
in terms of, wow, why are they sticking plastic up my nose? Why is everybody wearing a mask, right? It's more like the security things.
Yeah.
Um, but are we seeing like real real differences on the
Conceptual
floor.
changes.
Exactly, exactly.
Um,
And
are
I
we going
think
to be
there's
seeing
small
event
things.
design changes?
Right,
Exactly.
exactly. Event design, the use of technology, the use of streaming and video and audio. How are we connecting people who are able to attend and travel to the conference to the people who are not, but still want to be involved in the content? So I think these are the things that when we're there next week, that we're going to be looking and paying attention to. Like where are the changes? Are we just talking about this as an industry, or are we actually walking the walk as well?
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see.
Absolutely. And so myself and Jason will be attending the show, not as buyers, but visitors on Tuesday and Wednesday. And I want to say that our main objective for attending the show is obviously number one, yes, we are very excited that IBTM is back and that it's happening. And it's going to be an opportunity to connect in person with so many that are going to be attending the show, not just from Spain alone, but also from all across Europe and the UK and Scandinavia. So it's going to be a great kind of point for us to come together, especially for those who didn't go across the pond and attend IMAX.
Yeah.
To meet our across the pond brothers and sisters of the
Mm.
industry. So it'll be a nice opportunity, obviously. It's, me and Jason are celebrating our 2-year meeting anniversary.
Mm.
So, there will be some champagne popping, I want to say. Not too much for him because he might fall asleep on the spot.
Yeah,
But
that's gonna happen anyways. So, so just I may as well do it with champagne.
exactly. And I think the second is, we do want to see how the trade show experience has evolved.
Mm.
And we want to be proven wrong a little bit, don't
Yeah,
we, Jason? We want to kind of almost have words to say back to the haters that are like,
yeah,
oh, it's just gonna be the same,
yeah.
And I really hope that it won't just be
Mm.
the same. Like I fell asleep in 2019 and I woke up
Yep,
and I just went back to the same show. I
yep.
hope fundamentally and conceptually there might be some changes.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe there's changes to the way they've laid it all out. Maybe there's
Mhm.
changes to the content.
Yeah,
At the moment,
yeah,
there's not much
yeah.
in terms of change,
Mhm.
in terms of noise about the
Yep.
show.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of people making noise
Mhm.
about the show I see on my feeds. Um, I don't see a lot of content
Mm.
or kind of the hybrid side of it, the virtual side of
Mhm.
it being promoted. Like there will be sessions that will be streamed. This is what you can do.
Yeah.
I don't really feel the hype at the moment,
Mm.
which I think, and this is probably a very controversial statement to be making, but I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, okay, a lot of it could have to do with the fact that maybe there's a ton of people that are going that are not on my feed. They're
Mhm.
not part of my community or
Sure.
network. But
Mhm.
actually, there are quite a lot of people that I know that are going and that are going to
Yeah,
be present. And I've heard from them.
yeah.
But there needs to be like additional noise, right,
Mm.
about the show and the building of
Sure.
the hype and the content and the sessions and that
Mhm.
need for something a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to go and explore and see if there's going to be that. And on the back of that, what are we going to be doing to make it different, at least from our perspective and using our platform and
Mhm.
responsibility that we've built and cultivated in the last over a year.
Yeah. So 2019, I went as a hosted buyer, and I was kind of involved in the. It felt like speed dating for for hosted buyers to see as many suppliers as you can get through, and to be honest, that part of it, I'm not sure has changed. I feel like that same model is there,
Mhm.
and I think that they're trying to get hosted buyers on to go through and meet as many suppliers as possible, because at the end of the day, that's why exhibitors are there, is to drive
Yes.
traffic and have leads come in. So I understand that. I'm curious to see if there's any wrinkle to that.
Mhm.
Is there going to be, or is it just the same thing where it's you sit down, have a 20-minute meeting, and you move on, get your PDFs or whatever, and and move on.
Yep.
So this time around, we were talking about how can we have an experience that's different? How can we build our own experience that's different?
Yep.
And kind of playing off of this platform, this show that we've been doing weekly for the last year. We're going to try to bring this out of our home studios and
Mhm.
onto the show floor. So the idea is we are going to be in Barcelona at IBTM. We're going to go around to different stands and highlight some of the suppliers and the vendors and the hotels and destinations, and actually speak to them, stream with them for 10, 15, 20 minutes, ask them questions, get a feel for what it's like to be on the floor. Because I think that happens a lot. There's a lot of FOMO that goes on. I know I experienced that with IMEX in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And you get the tweet and you get the Instagram post and you get this, but you didn't have that kind of that
Live.
accessible live aspect, which is what it's just one of the evolutions that we've had. This is the technology that has become normal in the last 2 years, is that you can be in a place, you can stream it live. It doesn't have to be hyper produced anymore. And people who are not there can become part of that experience and see what's going on. And so it's going to be an experiment. We've never done this before. It's IRL streaming, in real life streaming, not from a studio. There's going to be hiccups and things. But I think the point is if any of you cannot make it to the show,
Yeah.
we can be there and be your eyes and your ears and your voice. You can ask us questions in the chat while we're streaming to people. If you want us to go visit a specific exhibitor, let us know. Like, we walk over there, we set up the camera, the mic, and we talk to a visitor and interview them. I think this is the hybrid connection that we keep talking about. I know I feel like I say this every time, but for me, hybrid is the bridge between the in real life audience and the virtual audience.
Yeah.
And I think you have been a hyper moderator as well. And what we want to do is be that bridge between what's going on at IBTM in Barcelona and the people who are not able to attend, essentially.
Absolutely. And we want to, in a sense, provide you with a case study or an example of how you can be omnipresent,
Mm-hmm.
how you can be doing your appointments, attending shows, and doing your event profs activity in real life, but also be able to bridge that with activities, and use the tech that's available to you, that's freely available, in order to bridge the two and be omnipresent. So that's kind of our goal. I mean, I know what's probably happened quite a lot, and it's gotten better. For example, with IMEX Vegas, what I really have noticed is, there was a lot of noise. There was lots of people sharing that they were there. There was lots of photos being shared. There was lots of Instagram stories. And so I know that for a fact that, I did hear a lot of social media noise, whether it was on Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter. Now, what is very, very important that I want to stress, and this is like a social media angle of it, is social media a lot of times is an afterthought, and it shouldn't be an afterthought.
Right.
You should be thinking how you can integrate it at kind of every point of your experience and journey doing something like this in your day-to-day, because a lot of the posts that we see are reflective. They're an afterthought. You live it, you go through it. I went to the show, I did everything, and now this is my summary. These are my 10 pictures, And I guess at the end of the day, yes, it's nice to do that after summary kind of post. It's great. But you've missed out on sharing that experience in the moment, It's almost like the same. Think about it like a concert. You go to a Beyonce concert, and nowadays everyone can film and share their stuff. It's no longer like, oh, you're not allowed, right? And you are seeing all these Instagram stories, and people are going live, and you feel like you're in the moment. You're able to really experience that through other people's eyes, other fans, your community, your network. If that isn't there, the whole concert happens, and then you see 10 pictures. You can't sum up an experience like that in 10 pictures, There's so many more powerful ways. And if you integrate it along your journey, then you can be so much more, impactful and intentional with what you're putting out, which I think is so important. So for those of you suppliers and event planners and event professionals and, anyone that's attending IBTM, it's coming up. This is an opportunity for you to think about that. Don't think about this experience or posting it on social media as an afterthought.
Hmm.
Involve people in your journey, check in with them,
Yeah.
ask if there's anything, and I think
Hmm.
that can very dramatically change the course of the experience for a lot of people, I think.
For sure. No, absolutely. 100%. I think you nailed it. I mean, you nailed it. Social media and online engagement, 95% of the time brands are using it as an afterthought. It's kind of like a detail. We're going to organize our stand, we're going to invite clients, we're going to put the right people on the stand, we're going to choose the right colors and logos and things. And then once all that's all done, then we say, oh, and don't forget to do at least one post on Instagram per day. It's like, well,
Yeah.
there's no strategy behind that, right?
No.
And the thing is, like, social media is great. You and I both understand the power of social media.
Yeah.
Um, but if you're just doing afterthought posts, you're missing out on an opportunity to create real online engagement, because, you know, if people are answering a photo that happened 2 days ago, um, they're missing out on an opportunity to ask questions about what's going on in the moment,
Correct.
right? And whereas, like, if you're there and you're streaming, or you're present and you're posting and present, and you have a plan, people can engage right away on what's going on right away. So, like, the feedback is immediate, the engagement is real, it's real time, and I
Yeah.
think that's much more interesting. I think that's what this whole virtual experience is about. It's real time engagement, not engagement 2 days later about something that already happened. That's easy.
Absolutely. And
So,
it's not like we don't have the tools for it. We all have
mm,
the tools for it. It's in our
mm,
hands. It's right
yeah,
here.
yeah,
And it's free. It's
yeah,
completely free.
yeah,
We've got
totally.
oh, there you go. So this is a very interesting, so I've got Igors here
Mm,
from Meet Riga, who's
hmm.
made a very, very valid point. So let's share that. And we can talk to this. Thank you so
Hmm.
much, Igors. So when I, as Meet Riga representative, have back-to-back meetings, there's no
Hmm.
chance to post the post on social media channels during working hours.
Yep.
So let's talk to that a little bit. Thank you very much for sharing that, Igors. Completely understand that point. And it's probably a point that pretty much everyone as a supplier that attends the show will have and will say,
Totally. Yep. Yeah,
you know.
100%.
And I think so. What do you have to say to that, Jason?
Um, so we talked about calendars earlier and how
Yeah.
my calendar is an aspiration, but I think the starting point is the same way that you schedule meetings into your day and you schedule everything else into your day. Try to schedule small chunks of time, and it's I'm sure to some people it'll sound ridiculous, but
Yeah.
schedule your 15 minutes of Twitter and Instagram. Say, look, this 20 minutes is blocked off for social engagement, and stick to it the same way that you would stick to a meeting. And if you can go ahead and put those into your day, take pictures as you're going along, take notes, and then commit that 20 minutes just to, like, okay, I've got 3 times a day where I'm gonna to sit down and put the content out, right? And I
And
think there's much more likelihood that you're going to be able to engage during the day. If it's kind of like, I'll do it when I have time, it won't happen. I know for me, for sure. Like, I'm right with
yeah,
you, Igars, huh? Like, if I don't plan it into my day and put that in the calendar, it doesn't happen, because it is busy. They are very busy shows.
absolutely. And I guess my point or response to that would be turn it on its head, right?
Mm,
I know that social media is in a lot of cases not a priority for a lot in these situations.
yeah.
And I'm sad about that because obviously I'm a social media hype girl and that
Yeah.
upsets me. But think about these moments as moments of marketing.
Hmm.
Yeah. These are times where you can use your live experiences and your fresh meetings
Yeah.
and your fresh connections as moments of marketing in between.
Hmm.
So we're not asking you to personally do it. We're talking about this from a brand perspective or a business perspective.
Yeah.
So imagine that Meet Riga is super active at the show.
Hmm.
They snapped a selfie with someone and they've posted it straight away to their
Yeah.
Instagram. Or during a meeting you've gotten permission from the event prof that you're meeting and you're like, hey, we really want to share our experiences at the show on our social media channels and would love to share this meeting as well, so can I take a selfie, or can you tell us if you had a nice experience at our booth today?
Yeah.
And literally do a 10-second video, 10
Make it part of your
seconds, you know,
strategy.
and share it and make it part of
Yeah.
your, I want to say, live marketing strategy, because
Yeah.
I honestly do think there needs to be one on a stand.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're representing a
Yeah.
destination or a country, you can't just go black when
Yeah.
you're at a trade show. There needs to
Exactly.
be, you know, you taking opportunity of what's happening at the show and feeding that back to your
Hmm.
target audience and people that are following you on your
Hmm.
social media
Yeah.
channels, you know, on
Yeah.
LinkedIn or whatever the
Hmm.
case is. There are
Yeah.
just so many opportunities that are missed because the time isn't made, or the time isn't thought about intentionally
Exactly.
before you go to the show. So I guess
Hmm.
it's more about having that in mind, having that intention, and
Yeah.
having the purpose, you know, be one of the things that you consciously do when you're at the show, so that when you are in that point of time where you're back to back in meetings and things, you still integrate it into what you're doing. And
Yeah.
it's hard. I totally
Yeah.
get it. It is hard.
Exactly. Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah. So,
Yeah. And
yay, Igor said, what did he say? He said, mirroring response. Yes, we can prep post text, make picture on the go, post it between meetings. Let's try it at IBTM.
yeah,
Yes, Igor,
100%.
try it
Yeah.
at IBTM. What
Exactly.
we're going to do, me and Jason are actually going to come to meet Riga. And we're going to
Let's do it.
say that we're going to make you do a selfie with us to post onto your
Maybe even a little interview. Like,
And if
so
you're interested and you have time and you want to go live with us on LinkedIn whilst you're at the show, let us know. We
yeah.
will come to the Meet Riga
Or come to
stand.
the stand. Let us know.
Yeah.
And let me piggyback on what you just said too, Sabrina, because you know, as a business owner, one of the most important things I have in the business is a series of processes, right? So when this happens, this is the process, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that almost everybody that goes to these shows, they're talking about their sales process or they're talking
Yeah.
about their marketing process, right? They're preparing their presentation, they're preparing their sales script, they're preparing, this is what happens when somebody comes to the stand. We're going to offer them a coffee, we're going to bring them to the place. So there is a process in place. So what I would suggest is just go ahead and stick in that process, that for everybody that comes onto the stand, at the end of the conversation, we're going to, if the conversation goes well, we're going to ask them if I can take a selfie with them,
Hmm.
and we're going to post it. Make that part of your sales process, because I think once it's in the process, it's going to
Integrated.
become part of the habit. It's integrated, exactly. But you can't do
Exactly.
that unless the strategy is there already.
Yeah.
So if you
It has to
combine
be
that,
one of the steps that you check off. It just has to
exactly,
be one of the steps, because if it's not one
yeah,
of the steps that you check off, it'll never be part of the playbook,
exactly,
you know?
exactly, exactly.
And if it's
And
not
then
part of the
also,
playbook,
it doesn't happen. It
it
doesn't
doesn't
happen.
happen.
No. And then I think if you combine, make it part of your process when somebody comes onto the stand, and then also reserve blocks of time throughout the day just to do a quick catch up on social media. It's a really small investment. It's a really small amount of time, but I think the returns can be really big. Because here's the other thing too: everybody's blacked out. Like
Everyone.
90% of the people at the show are ignoring social media. So what does that mean? That means that you
Like
can
they've got
really,
these blinkers on, like the
yeah,
horses, you know,
yeah, yeah.
and
And
they're
that means
there to do business. But
and that means that like your brand can own the hashtag. I mean, if like
yeah,
imagine hashtag IBTM is going on, and I go into Twitter and I'm oh, what's going on at IBTM? So I follow the hashtag, and there's like a little bit of people. Imagine your brand is just hashtagging every 30 minutes. You know, like wow,
exactly.
you're getting a really big percentage of the eyes that are not at the show. It's totally free. Like there's
Yeah.
no really big
And I think
expense
that's
to
what
it.
people don't realize, that it's not just about what's happening at the show, but
Yeah,
there's a bigger world out there of people that
yeah,
are FOMO, that want to know what's happening, that
hmm,
still want to be, you know, part of the experience
yeah,
somehow. And the social media platforms are a way that they can do that, you know? And so Igers, it says, great, agree. So we will see you at the Meet Riga stand, Igers,
sweet.
and we'll reach out to you in order to
Yeah,
figure out a time that works for you, so we can come by and show you the power of social media
100%. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
during these experiences. We've got Irina joining us, the amazing Irina Graf. Hi,
Hey,
Irina.
Irina.
Thank you for joining us. And she has said that people at the show might not be on social media during the show, but the virtual audience is watching.
Yep,
Very, very
totally.
true.
100%.
Exactly. And
Yep.
that's what I mean by there being a bigger audience out there, because we've all evolved.
Yeah.
we're online now.
We
We're on
should. We
LinkedIn. We're
should have
scanning our
evolved. We
feeds.
should. And this is what we want to see is, did we evolve? Did we evolve? Because I think the saddest thing is going to be if we go through these shows, we go through another season of conferences,
Yeah.
and I look back and I'm like, nothing changed. Like it's all cosmetic. Yes, things have changed. We're using the right buzzwords. We're having the right links on our website that say, virtual whatever. But
Yeah.
has the actual concept changed? Is I think we should do an entire stream of the Twitter kind of the Twitter storm that you showed me the other day.
Oh,
I forget the
yes.
guy's name. There were some
Yeah.
great ideas in there for
I'll
trade
tell them.
shows. Like let's use this opportunity to shake it up a bit. I mean, people were going to these things out of routine probably
Yeah.
in 2019, so it was like, well, this is just part of what we do. There's budget allocated to it. This is just what we do. But now they don't have to, like, we're seeing that. I really believe that to get people to come to these things anymore,
Mhm.
we're going to have to make them so valuable, because you're competing with virtual content all the time now. Before, people would say, no, I don't want to look at a screen, I just want to go to the show. But now they're like, oh wait, I don't have to travel, it's better for the environment, I have more time so to attract these people, conferences need to step it up. Like, they
Yeah.
have to make what they're doing so much more interesting than what we were doing 2 years ago.
Absolutely. And Robert, of course, here with the wisdom. Good idea. Amplify the value of each moment to increase the reach. Exactly. That's what these platforms allow us to do to the virtual audience.
Mm,
Okay, you might not be as strong on the
yeah,
tech as a show, but there's so many platforms that provide you that for
yeah,
free.
totally.
Instagram,
Yep.
Facebook,
Yeah.
TikTok,
Yeah.
Lord knows what. If you
Yep.
can harness that power from all the exhibitors,
Yep.
imagine the amount of noise you could make just
Totally.
on the outskirts.
Yep.
We've got
100%.
a Miguel watching. Thanks for joining us, Miguel.
Speaking of
Nice.
Niv- Ni- Speaking of
Miguel.
Miguel, he's gonna appreciate this. Hey Miguel, I'm gonna go grab my baby because she's crying, and I'm gonna have to finish this with her in my arms. I'm so sorry.
Oh, good.
I'll
Oh,
be I'll
good.
be right back. I love this. I love this what he said here right now, because this is really important. I'll be right back.
So Miguel is saying, go get Leia. So Miguel is saying, nice topic, guys. My feedback from IMEX America was that lots of brands were creating content for the online audience rather than trying to connect the online and on-site audiences. So important. You are absolutely right, Miguel. This is what I mean about being omnipresent. There were so many brands that were creating that content for themselves. You are absolutely right. It's like selfish content creation. Us. But where's the bridge, right? What is it? What are your key messages? What are you really trying to do? How are you trying to close that circle? And that's so important. You need to have that intention and that strategy in advance of how are you going to be creating that content? What kind of content are you going to be creating in order to connect the online and the on-site audiences? And we've got Irina, who obviously very much agrees. He said, good point, Miguel. Connection over content. Content needs context, community, and belonging. I love that. I want to put that on t-shirt. We're going to put that on t-shirt. Content needs context, community, and belonging. And she's absolutely right. That's exactly it. I think we're past the point. We've evolved as people that just make content. Like, I can take a picture and post it on social media, but it has to be so much more than that now, because it has, again, like Irina said, it has to have context, there has to be community, and there has to be belonging. So I'm super, super thrilled that so many amazing event profs have joined us today in the live. You've all contributed so amazingly to the show. Has event industry trade shows evolved? I think it's a very, very relevant and very valid question that we're facing right now. And we'll see next. Those of you who attended IMEX, feel free to drop your comments in your feedback from the show in the comments. It'll be really interesting for whoever is watching this replay to read. Be honest. One of the things that I know we can fall into is not being totally honest about our experiences at shows, because we might come off as being controversial.
Yeah.
We might burn bridges. I don't think we that should be the
Yeah.
case. I
No.
think you need to be honest in order for there to be change.
Well,
And
it's
yeah,
good for the industry, right? I mean, like if we create a culture in the industry where it's not okay to provide constructive criticism, we're not
yeah,
doing ourselves a favor. I ask people all the time, even for things like this, what we're doing here, like I, I like that we get good feedback, but what's really helpful is the negative feedback. If
absolutely.
if it's communicated in a nice way, that's what we need, because you can't improve if there's no constructive criticism. So hopefully we can openly talk about these things so that we can all get better, right?
Absolutely. And, there is a Twitter thread of feedback, and very, very honest, very, very succinct, very well thought out and put
Mhm,
feedback from a gentleman called Kyle Hillman on Twitter. He's at Hillman Events.
mhm.
And he's pinned his points and that entire thread on his IMEX experience to the top of his account. So if you want to read that, go on Twitter, find him, read it. I
Yeah,
guarantee you it will be super, super insightful and interesting. And it will definitely evoke emotion. It will
yeah.
evoke insights and perspective from yourself and really make you question, yeah, has it changed?
Has it changed? Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And
so
I missed
I,
I missed your comments on Miguel's creating content for the online audience rather than connecting, and I
exactly.
just wanted to comment on that as well, because I think it's a really, really important differentiation here, and
Yeah.
because to me they're two different things. They're
Yeah.
It's okay to create content for the online audience. That's fine. I mean, I think YouTube is great for that. If you're trying to teach people that they can go back and watch and look at,
Yeah.
creating content for the online audience is great. But I think in the events world, that's not what we do.
No.
What we do is we create in-person experiences that are live, so that we can have real connections in the moment and real engagement in the moment. And I think he's right on with that. Is you need to connect with the online audience in the moment, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping that people will start to kind of put more focus on.
Absolutely. Because it's a massive opportunity. And he also says, congratulations, Jason.
Thank you. I'll show you guys real quick.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, where is
Hey,
she?
there
Oh,
she
here.
is.
Hey,
Oh,
hey.
yay. Our first 20-minute Eventprofs Weekly live baby. I love it.
She's
But
like,
you know
what
what?
is
This is
going
why
on?
we're here. Normalize this. This is fantastic. I love it.
This is normal. Yeah,
This is exactly.
yeah.
And yeah, so we're going to end off with a couple of words from Robert Dunsmore. Context cuts through the noise. We need
Mm.
to talk about trade shows, and live is live. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. What an amazing crowd. Great conversation. I don't think this conversation is going to die at any point. I think it's only the beginning. And I really, really hope that what we've discussed today, and we've got some fantastic people here in very powerful positions with amazing platforms to be able to carry on those conversations and, really see if anything does change, throw a bit of catalyst in there, and all of that good stuff. We do have one last question coming in from Joe, another fantastic event prof. Joe, do you think trade shows and events will begin keeping metrics on digital events? Very interesting question. I don't think they do at the moment. So I think at the moment it's like, if it's in your own universe, yes. So if you're an IBTM, then you'll keep track of your own digital events. But I don't think you're going to keep track of what else is happening around you, unless potentially it's a direct competitor or something. Like if you're a virtual event platform and you've got your own events and someone else similar is doing that, you might keep track. But I do think that that's definite possibility. That's a definite, I guess, what do you call it? Evolution. It could definitely do that. Progression is what I want to say. Progression is the word. So yeah, very good question, Joe. I hope so, is my answer to that as well. I hope, because digital events will continue to stay around. They'll continue to grow and happen and be better. And yeah, that's pretty much what our hope is. But what we're going to leave you with is a little bit of, well, obviously the cute Leia over there. Irina said, so cute. So you know that. And but with that knowledge that me and Jason will be at IBTM next week in Barcelona. We'll be at the show on Tuesday and Wednesday. If you want to meet us, if you're watching this, if you want us to come to your booth and you're an exhibitor at the show and you want to go LinkedIn Live with us, we're going to be periodically going LinkedIn Live from various exhibitor booths and corners of the show to give everyone insight into what is happening at the show. So yeah, get in touch with us. Send us direct messages on LinkedIn or to our email addresses. Yeah, connect. And we would love to meet so many of you and provide the omnipresent experience to all from IBTM, and hope that those are not there can feel it too. Thank you, Leia, for being part of the show. And yeah, we're going to end off now and say bye, everyone. See you next week from Barcelona.